Yeah, so this is a special project that we've got a what they call an eclipse MOTS style of turf here. So back in 2018 we put together, we redid the underground surfaces, and the top sort of 4 inches is a turf, artificial turf carpet with fibre going into the grass roots of the grass that's out in the park. So we're about year 6, and at this point we are going through a process where we take off about 20 mil of the top sand and grass and clean it out, and then we relay new sand and grass, and that'll give it the life term of around or just over 10 years. So it's about keeping the ground effective so it drains really effectively, and we can then have, you know, good quality and number of events on the park, because the artificial fibre in the carpet and the fibre going into the grass makes the ground really firm and really quite durable. And with the drainage, the effectiveness of the drainage, it means that we won't get caught with the issues that we had back in 2018 when we had a fairly heavy period of rain, and the ground didn't drain particularly well.
Great. So what's these pieces of grass in front of us here?
So this is an example of how the turf carpet, and when we have an event like a concert, or if we need to replace any parts of turf, we can do that by getting access to turf like in this format. And so underneath the turf here you can see there's a carpet of fibre, and you've got fibre pieces growing up into the base of the actual grass. And so that's how we get it from the turf farm from Wellington, and we work together with the Wellington Stadium staff. When we have jobs like this, these renovation jobs, they help us access the turf that we need to replace in certain areas. And so these pieces, or pieces like this, have been put in over the top where we've taken out the clay cricket block, which has been also part of this project at the moment. So it's quite a game-changing sort of time for the park, in the way of converting into just using a drop-in tray and having cricket played on drop-in trays only. So we won't have any clay cricket blocks like we've had traditionally for the last few years.
Cool. And for the uninitiated, what's a drop-in cricket tray?
So a drop-in tray is basically a big slab of steel with a clay cricket block, and over the back here, underneath the cloth here, we're growing grass in 5 trays, and the trays are basically about 20 tonne weight, and they get moved into position in the park by this big lifter, which we've had in use for a few years now.
Cool. Why is it important to have a world grade cricket pitch at McLean Park?
So whenever we have cricket, we have to go through a warrant of fitness with New Zealand Cricket, and so when we host international cricket, we have to be up to a certain standard, and they give it the tick. It's a warrant of fitness that all stadiums that are hosting international cricket have to actually keep their ground up to a certain standard. And it's similar to when we're hosting Super Rugby or any NRL game. The turf and the stadium have to actually pass a certain quality. So from our point of view, we're one of the few regional stadiums that are in New Zealand outside of the main centres, and so by keeping our turf at a certain level, it means that we can always host that international content that we want to host from time to time.
Awesome. So what are some of the specifications required for an international cricket venue so you can get that tick of approval?
Yeah, so part of it is like the drainage, and part of it is the makeup of the turf itself. So during the year, the New Zealand Cricket turf specialists, they come in and they take core samples, and they test moisture, and they test the contamination or the content of the turf and right through to the top, and so it's a little bit turf specialist, and I'm certainly not the turf specialist, but it's they make sure that the ground is in good condition and that from a player point of view it's safe and at a good standard where the players are obviously not going to have any issues with injuries and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So, what does having an international cricket venue do for Napier and Hawke's Bay?
It's not necessarily all about cricket. It's about what does a high quality venue do to attract events here. And so with cricket we might have 2 or 3 international games. We've got CD using the venue for a number of games, and then we've got Super Rugby, NRL, any concert activity and any other like Nitro Circus or something similar. So we've got a variety of games and sports potentially getting played here, and we need to make sure the standard is at a good level, that we can make sure that it's going to be durable enough and effective enough to be able to really deliver those games for the people that hire the venue from us.
Okay, cool. And can you talk to me about the timeline of the development of the pitch?
So the whole project, if you want to, if you go back to when we initially got the whole underground surfaces and the new turf in place back in 2018, then we've got this dethatching part getting done now, which started 2 weeks ago, and we've got nearly to the point where the new sand will be put onto the turf next week, and then we'll have basically about a 10-week growing period. So the idea is that we'll have the ground ready for the second Ranfurly Shield game at the end of July. All going well, hoping that the weather will play its part.